Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan. Tolo, baby. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. .105.3 The Fan and the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network present Dallas Cowboys Football 2023.
And Prescott walks the dog. Touchdown Cowboys.
In crystal clear HD stereo. Today's pregame show is brought to you by
Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com.
Now, here's Eric Chiofalo and Brian Broaddus.
Well, how about this, Broaddus? Since Dak Prescott became the starting quarterback in 2016 of your Dallas Cowboys, they have averaged 393 yards and 29.3 points per home game. Both are the highest figures in the NFL in that time frame. Hopefully we get some offensive firepower and fireworks, if you will, off the bye week. Looking to see this offense really get rolling here. That's a good sign. Plus the Cowboys 10-0 in their last 10 tries here at AT&T Stadium. We're broadcasting live in the Brad Sham Radio booth today, not out in the elements, and that is certainly good news for me. You know I don't perform well in the elements. You scouted me for years, and you've known that. Yeah. I'm a dome player.
You are a dome inside player, but you always bring your A game no matter what.
That's right. That's right. The effort's going to be there, Broaddus. There's no question about it. We are on the heels of a late night in Arlington doing some Rangers baseball. We get to bounce on over to AT&T Stadium for some football. Cowboys off the bye week. It feels like it's been forever, especially since we've been back here.
Right.
It was the Patriots game.
Been a minute, as they say, right?
It has been a minute. It has been a minute. So it's great to be back. Cowboys, Rams, Week 8. And this is a big one, man, leading into the NFL trade deadline, and we'll have some trade deadline conversation coming up. It's a loaded pregame show, as always, taking you right up until kickoff. We'll go behind enemy lines. We'll also welcome in Fox Television's Tom Rinaldi. Looking forward to that.
Promise to make you cry.
Yes, no question about it. Yeah, we'll be shedding some no Sean Moreno tears up in here in the Brad Sham Radio booth. Babe Laufenberg, we'll hear from Deron Bland as well, and we'll go inside the star with Bobby Belt. But let's get into this bad boy here, Brad. It's off the bye week. What do you want to see here from the Cowboys? What would you like from an improvement standpoint? What do you want to see that maybe they fixed up over the course of the last week or so?
Because of the collective bargaining agreement that you will not be able to have many practices, and I feel like they need to improve in the running game. In the aspect, there's things that they've been able to do. If you're one of those guys and gals that believe in metrics, they'll tell you the pass blocking stuff, the win rates on that has actually been pretty good. Eye test will tell you, there's been some times where it's been a little bit leaky, but overall, I think the biggest concern for the Cowboys offensively is, can they establish some type of a running game? And I'm not talking about a 3 yards and a cloud of dust offense running the ball every single snap, though. But they do have to find some type of traction to help Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott won you the game against the Chargers. They didn't particularly the run blocking wasn't there, whether it was the offensive line or the tight ends. But, the collective bargaining agreement doesn't allow you to practice, and you can't work on those things like you did once back in the day and have 2 or 3 practices and try and clean some things up. Good that the players get to go off and enjoy a little time to kind of get ready for the second half. But the things that you're going to need, the physicality which you're going to need to play, that they've had some issues up front with the consistency with which they blocked, whether it's combination blocks, those blocks with the tackles and the guard are together, the Zach Martin, the steal, being able to get the down lineman secured and then get up on the second level and take care of linebackers. They've struggled at the point of attack with their ability with their tight ends. They've tried some things schematically to make their running game better, but man, they have just not played with the physicality. And this Ram front will give them some difficulty when you start to talk about having to deal with Aaron Donald in this game and Byron Young in this game. Those are some issues. Ernest Jones, the linebacker. They've got some guys on this Rams front that can present some problems, and you have to be clean, you have to be consistent, but you have to get into a little bit of rhythm running the football, because right now they really don't have that.
Now, we might not have the continuity on the offensive line that we were hoping for.
Right.
I mean, we're dealing with a Tyron Smith neck issue, stinger.
Right.
Happened in practice.
Yeah, it's the thing with Tyron that you're going to always deal with. I've always talked about with Tyron, the stinger, the back, ankle, knee. There's always something he's had to deal with, but the stinger and the back are two that sometimes just come and go. The stinger aspect you have to worry about because of that limits any type of strength that he has in that area, and he's not going to be able to play that way. This is a true game-time decision. I know Christy Scales is on the sidelines right now, and I've alerted Scoop, and she's on it already. Thumbs up. She's keeping an eye on a pregame workout. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of clarity on Tyron Smith, but it is truly a game-time decision. While I was at the Rangers game with you yesterday, I was talking with people in the organization, and they said, yeah, this thing's going to the game. And we've seen where Tyron Smith before has been able, like we thought he was going to play, and then the next thing you know, Adoga is in there at that left tackle spot. So something you definitely have to keep an eye on because, like I was talking about earlier, though, the Rams have got some edges that could be a little bit of a problem for you, especially that Byron Young. He is a good young rookie player, and he is going to be a handful for anybody that's over on that side.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, Tyron Smith, I mean, some guys are day-to-day. He is sort of second to second. And he
moment to moment.
Yeah, moment to moment. He's sort of always a game-time decision. So hopefully we see Big 77 out there. If not, it will be – do you think it would be Adoga?
Yeah, I think so. I don't believe that the Cowboys want to move Tyler Smith from guard. They are adamant about keeping him at that guard spot. And Adoga wasn't bad. When Adoga has been able – now there's folks that kind of feel like that maybe Adoga as a guard would be better. And then Tyler Smith – we've seen Tyler Smith play at a very high level at that left tackle spot. But the Cowboys they're committed to keeping him in that spot, not shuffling him around. Hey, get excellent at this spot if you can, and then we'll work at the tackle spot. And Adoga seems to be the direction they like to go.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe, if Tyron Smith was handed a long-term maybe injury, then maybe
the consideration, yeah.
But with the idea that Tyron Smith, maybe he misses today, but he's back next week, they don't want to shuffle everything if Tyron is still in the mix to some extent.
How about the Cowboys dealing with Thursday practice injuries this year?
It's happened
It seems like I do a lot of work with DallasCowboys.com, on the break, and we always, Patrick Walker and I and Amber Garcia and Derek Eagleton are always talking about how do you get through a Thursday practice, because it always seems to pop up, and they don't practice on a Friday. They do a walkthrough mock game on Saturday, but it always seems like there's something on that Thursday that just kind of doesn't set right with the Cowboys preparation. And with this being this late in the week, I think that it's an Adoga and then Tyler Smith at guard.
Well, it's certainly aggravating.
If they have to go that route.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we'll be on it first here. We know we'll get the scoop from Christy Scales coming up here in just a little bit. She'll let us know who's in, who's out, and all the details you need to get you set for Cowboys and Rams. 877-881-1053. What's the confidence meter? What is the prediction? Cowboys Nation, come out early to the Miller Lite House, the pregame gathering destination on the West Plaza of the stadium. Miller Lite is the only beer of the Cowboys, and we invite all Cowboys fans to join us for a great tailgate event. Sample some great seltzer brands as well, like Vizzy Hard Seltzer, the official hard seltzer of the Cowboys. Let's stick with this Cowboys offense for a second. How should they be attacking the Rams today?
Well, what you're going to see from the Rams is a lot of zone coverage. That's really how they play. Now, they've got two outstanding corners, in my opinion, when you talk about Akilo Witherspoon and then Deron Kendrick. I think that to me is a lot of zone on the outside. They're going to try and funnel things inside to Jordan Fuller and Russ Yeast, the safeties. But they do a really good job. If you look at the completion percentage at those two corners, it's below 50%. They've done a really nice job. Now, where they've struggled a little bit is with Kobe Durant, the nickel. he's been the guy that if you look at quarterback ratings and percentages of passes completed, he's been the one, and the eye test will tell you that too. When you watch the All-22, those corners do a great job. The nickel is the one that's been the problem. So how do the Cowboys find ways to maybe get Lamb and Cooks? There's all kinds of, when you look at numbers and things like that, especially with Cooks being on the field, that is something that the Cowboys have been, he hasn't been the guy that they've thrown the football to, but when he's on the field, it's like 8 yards of play. When he's off the field, it's 5 yards of play. So, that's interesting.
Just his presence alone.
Just the presence alone is worth that to you.
You got to respect his speed defensively.
Right. I'm learning about all these metrics things, but when you apply them to what you see on the All-22, it makes perfect sense. So how do you find ways to get your best receivers on their nickel? That might be the best way to go. And also, too, though, Dak Prescott generally plays pretty well against teams that are very heavy zone. And so we'll see if in fact, those things hold true today.
All right, what type of challenges will McVay, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, looking forward to seeing him in action for the first time in person because he's had a great season as a receiver here for the Rams. What do they present?
Yeah, the Rams are very motion shift. That's their type of way. They're going to try and affect your eyes with the way that you're going to align your defense. They're going to give Matthew Stafford the ability with motion, and usually it's with Tutu Atwell, the third receiver. Speed. And they'll usually bring him in motion to kind of get a gauge of where you're playing in the secondary. And that's where you're going to see them, a lot of that shifting, a lot of the movement are going to be from McVay. He wants to learn where you're going to line up. Nacua is one of those guys that, he's leading the league right now. When you look at passes that are, say, that 0 to 9 range, those short passes, he's leading the league in those, right? He's got 43 targets. So watch them testing your ability to run with receivers. We've seen Bland has been outstanding. Gilmore has done a nice job. Where Gilmore has had his problems have been with separation with routes that have been carried inside. Again, the All-22 will show you that, though. How much will the Rams, and Nacua has been, he was the guy that was really Cooper Kupp before Cooper Kupp came back in Week 5. Nacua actually has more targets for the Rams than Cooper Kupp since he's come back. So this is Matthew Stafford and Nacua is going to play on the outside. Cooper Kupp kind of will go inside, but it's funny with Cooper Kupp, the majority of his receptions are on the outside and not on the inside. So there's a lot going on with the Rams in the way that they play, but they've really done a nice job with Puka Nacua and his ability. But the short passing game, 0 to 9 yards, anything in those in-breaking routes and stuff like that, the Cowboys have got to be alert of him coming across the field. And if they're playing man coverage, that's going to be chase, and it's probably going to be through the woods because they're going to run crossers from the other side and run those picks, those rubs. We've seen it a lot in the National Football League. When teams want to get the ball to their playmakers on the move, you're usually going to have to run through the forest to be able to keep up with the receiver.
Man, the Rams have about 8% of their offensive plays have gained 20 or more yards.
Yeah.
That's the third highest rate in the league.
Right.
So the explosive plays, and I think a fair amount of that is some yards after catch stuff. As you mentioned, you get a short crosser going, and then boom, they take it up the field. So big explosive plays defensively, you're going to have to limit those in a huge way today. Now, do they do much in the way of the running game?
Well, see, that's where now with the Rams, it's been a little bit of a problem for them because they've struggled with some injuries, and they're going back to some former players when you start to talk about Darrell Henderson and then Royce Freeman. They had 120 yards rushing last week against the Steelers, and You know, usually when you think about Steelers, you think about front seven, you think about that pass rush, you think about playing tough run defense.
Yeah.
Well, last week, the Rams were able to, both Henderson and Freeman both had over 60 yards rushing. And usually it's from that, what we call the sidecar, shotgun, backs next, inside handoff, and then try and push the front, you know, the zone blocking scheme up front, and then let the backs make the cut. But Freeman is a powerful back. He's going to take the ball, hand off downhill, and then try and attack the hole. He's not as shifty of a player as, say, Henderson. Henderson's a shorter guy, and he's kind of a little bit of a guy that kind of a little bit patient, and then he'll hit it with that ability to move it. But they don't run the ball with great effectiveness. It's pretty basic the way that they try and do it. Again, Dallas is going to have to find a way. Damone Clark, whoever's playing down in the box, Curse, Cox, those guys, those nickel safeties that are playing in the run game have got to be ready for that.
All right, I would hope that the Cowboy pass rush is going to bring the fire versus Matthew Stafford today.
Stafford's a good player against the blitz and pressure, one of the better quarterbacks in the league when you pressure him. Keep an eye on that, too.
All right, just getting started here on the official pregame show of America's Team. We're live on Twitch and YouTube as well, 877-881-1053. How should the Cowboys approach this upcoming NFL trade deadline? And we'll hear from the man, Deron Bland, next right here on The Fan.
Spurs assistant coach Becky Hammond on inspiration.
I hope it's an inspiration to girls out there, being the first woman to coach an NBA team. But I've always been more inspired by the future, not by what I've done, but by what's coming next.
What do you want to do next? Whether it's buying a home, growing your wealth, or protecting your assets, SWBC is here to support your next steps toward financial success with personalized service and expert advice.
Visit SWBC.com to take the next step toward your financial future.
Go behind the scenes at the home of the Dallas Cowboys with AT&T Stadium Tours presented by SeatGeek. See what makes AT&T Stadium a unique, world-class facility by taking a VIP guided tour. Check out the owner's experience or indulge in an exclusive art tour. Walk through the locker rooms, step on the playing field, check out the contemporary art collection, and more. There's something for everyone. Book your tickets today. Visit attstadium.com/tours for tickets and information. From the electricity in the stadium to the highlight reel plays, there's nothing quite like Dallas Cowboys football. And this season, you can be there live to cheer them on. As the official resale marketplace of the NFL, Ticketmaster has got you covered with the largest selection of seats of any ticketing marketplace. You won't miss any of the action when you get verified tickets from Ticketmaster. Get off the couch and into the stands. Grab your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com/Cowboys.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The Whataburger Jalapeno Cheddar Biscuit is back, but some folks have yet.
What do you want the Cowboys to do at the trade deadline? 877-881-1053, the official pregame show of America's team. Under 3 hours to kickoff here at AT&T Stadium. We're live in the Brad Sham Radio booth, and the pregame show is brought to you by Reliant and NRG Company. We will hear from Cowboys corner Deron Bland here in just a few moments. But, Broaddus, we have trade deadline coming up here. Jerry's talked about it a little bit this week, and trying to figure out what the Cowboys might get involved in. I think, deep down, Jerry always wants to be in the mix on these sort of deals. But what would you, if you could hand pick a position group or a side of the ball that you think they should maybe try and dip their toe in these trade waters on, what would that be for you?
I clearly believe that Jerry Jones went out to practice the other day at the Star with the intent of talking to the media to throw some chum in the water to try and get some people to call him about some potential trade opportunities. I don't think that, Jerry is really excellent with the media. He has been throughout his ownership and has been the general manager. But he went out there with the intent of letting the league know that he was open for business if you were willing to call. Now, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones have negotiated hundreds of millions of dollars in deals, maybe billions of dollars in deals. And they understand leverage. And when you're the one that generally makes the call, you're the one that's trying to lose a little bit of leverage there. Now, it's funny. I had somebody, at Twitter when I put that out there, it said, well, what about, Howie Roseman? He just immediately calls. You think he loses leverage, but he seems to find a way to use minimum picks or capital to make that happen, which is a fair point. Howie makes a lot of really nice deals where it turns out. But I think that the Cowboys are in that market right now where they would be interested in adding a player too. Is it the type of player that fans would know, a recognized name? Maybe not. But I'll tell you something I've learned, Eric. Another thing, again, I tweeted out here this past week was I'm hearing so many different things. I'm hearing rumors that sound really, really good, like, from credible people. And then you ask about the same trade and another credible source with a team will tell you, man, that ain't happening. That ain't going to, that one's not going down. Whether it's Patrick Surtain or, some of these names, the running back there at Tennessee, Derrick Henry, you hear one thing from wow, okay, well, that sounds like it's got some legs. And then you talk to somebody else on the other side that might be involved with the trade, and they're saying that's absolutely not true. So, I've tried to be a little bit more responsible and not be as reckless, because when you do throw stuff out there, it kind of could backfire on you, but it also, you don't want to mislead people. That's the biggest thing. We could talk about speculation, rumor, and that's a lot of our job. We speculate what could happen. Mm-hmm. But man, when you start to dig into something like this, you think, okay, this has got legs. And then you ask somebody on, like I say, that other side, and they say, there's no way in hell that's going to happen. We're not doing that. So that's the thing you run into this time of year. Now, the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys are open. I do. I think the Cowboys are more than willing if it makes sense for them. And makes sense for them is you calling them and saying, hey, would you be interested? Because the Cowboys in the history have proven that they'll be willing to give premium picks for a player that they feel like is a premium player. They've done it with, back when I was working in scouting, we did it with the Joey Galloway and Roy Williams, and those we were willing to, use picks. Amari Cooper's a great example. If they see it's a good fit, they'll move forward with it. So I think there's a couple of different positions, depending on really what the linebacker situation is right now.
Yeah.
Damone Clark has done last week played one of his better games. He'd had a little bit of a struggle with that. We've seen with Bell has stepped up a little bit, but
Bell had a great game versus the Chargers.
Yeah, let's see what happens, in the next like in today's game. I mean,
Rashaan Evans, will we get a little glimpse of him today?
That's what I was going to go with. I think that when you start to talk about, I think there is a potential for Rashaan Evans to see some significant action today. I know that the word was from the guys and gals that cover the Cowboys on the beat that live at the Star were saying that during the bye week that Evans was getting more work with the coaches. They were working with him in the classroom, trying to figure out, kind of bring him up to speed. And the more you talk to people in the organization, this is an option that they are looking at. And today could be that day where you see him actually on that field.
Well, we know Howie Roseman and the Eagles are always going to be in the mix here, so I would expect the Eagles to do some more trading here. They already got Kevin Byard, the safety, out of Tennessee, and I would expect them to be active over the next couple of days and try and pull off a couple of more trades. It looks like the Commanders are going to be heavily involved as well, more so as sellers with their pass rushers, man. Whether it be Montez Sweat or Chase Young, they are both available. Ian Rappaport saying that the Commanders have a trade offer on the table right now for pass rusher Montez Sweat. He's 27 years old, 35 career sacks, 5.5 sacks this season in 7 games. He's definitely a stud. Chase Young, former Buckeye, one of the top picks in the draft a few years ago, been a little bit underwhelming, mostly due to injuries, but he's playing pretty well right now, and maybe a second-round pick for him. But I would expect the Commanders to be pretty active sellers at this deadline. We'll see what they can get for some of their pass rushers. Around the NFL a little bit here, looking ahead to today's games, you're going to get the first start for your guy, Will Levis.
My guy Will Levis, right?
Yeah, your guy Will Levis.
I was working with Aisha Morrison on the draft show, and she was like, Brian, I don't see a first-round player here. And I was fighting with her and arguing with her, and now
she knows football.
She knows her ball, so I give her a lot of credit for that. So, yeah, they're in a tough situation right now in Tennessee. And Mike Vrabel, there's a lot of buzz in the league about if the Patriots were to make a change with Bill Belichick, that Mike Vrabel would be the next head coach of the Patriots. So there's a lot of that kind of those whispers among league circles.
I thought they were going with the waiting in the wings with Gerard Mayo there on staff defensively.
Yeah.
Former Tennessee
It sounds
Volunteer.
like Mike Vrabel would be the guy.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, Vrabel might be going with a bit of a rotation at quarterback today.
Yeah.
Will Levis, I believe, is starting, but at any moment he could be pulled out for Malik Willis. I think they might just be going a sort of a 2-quarterback system.
Cowboys did that back in the day at one time. They did it, but they did it every single play. I'm sure Brad Sham is driving in right now listening to me speak, and he would remember Craig Morton and Roger Staubach.
That's hilarious.
Shuffling in every single play. I mean, I'm sure that was a fun game to broadcast.
How about this for a fun game? Almost half a foot of snow has fallen in Denver. Temperatures for this afternoon expected to be in the high teens, low 20s. So that'll be for Chiefs and Broncos. And we had a Chief, Mr. Travis Kelce, here in Arlington just this week on a game week. I feel like that's a little bit weird. It wasn't like it was a Tuesday or Monday off day situation early in the week. It's like it's a Friday night.
And I felt like there was a few like Mick Ultras in his hand as this thing was going on, right? Watching
Definitely.
the game.
Yes, and then after the Ranger game, you see Travis Kelce at Texas Live with a giant bottle of something in his hand, just drinking right out of the bottle, enjoying some Texas Live post-game Ranger action. So
it's a good place at Texas Live.
A few days before his game, that felt a little bit weird to me. All right, how about this? Deron Bland, today's player profile with the 3-time Hall of Famer Chris Arnold. Deron Bland's been a stud, filling in for Trayvon Diggs. We'll give you some numbers on him in a minute, but here is Deron Bland for today's player profile.
We're talking with Deron Bland. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. In fact, everybody's been impressed with you, not just this year, filling in what you do, starting now, but what you did last year. Can you talk about how it is to be a cornerback in Dan Quinn's system?
I mean, being a corner in Dan Quinn's system is kind of actually fun.
Yeah.
We run man, and, it's obvious that, as a corner, that's what I always liked. That's what I've always been playing all my life, pretty much man. So it's been fun.
How has everyone kind of, you open up, Cowboy fans' eyes and, different people, but how were you kind of under the radar last year when you got here? I mean, you kind of were low key and you just kept making plays.
Yeah, that's just me though. Being low key, just always just let my actions speak louder than my words. He just kind of always been like that guy to kind of keep his head down, and just do his work.
Kind of quiet guy.
Yeah.
All right, Trayvon Diggs went down.
Mm.
You stepped in, but everybody has confidence in you. That mean a lot?
Yeah, that means a lot. For another guy just like that has proven himself throughout the years he's been playing here so far, and then for them to have the confidence for me to come in after just 1 year and just be that spot. So it feels good to have guys around your back. What's your technique when you pick off these passes? Because you seem to be around the ball quite a bit, or they don't trust you. I'm talking about the quarterbacks. They don't. We get someone playing. Yeah, I mean, my mindset is try to go back to my receiver days. Go get the ball. Mm-hmm.
So just like Diggs.
Yeah.
Got the same mentality.
Gotta go get the ball.
Speaking of wide receivers, you got the Rams today.
Yes, sir.
They got some weapons.
Oh yeah, they got some weapons. They're not guys that just sleep. You're just gonna be sleeping on. They're all guys that get the ball and they can do something with the ball. So we're in for some work.
In other words, you have your assignment and you know what to do.
Yes, sir.
You've been given your assignment?
Yeah.
So are you going to be traveling anywhere? Or are you going to be you don't have to tell me all the details, but Dan Quinn usually has some tricks up his sleeve.
I don't know yet. we still putting a little bit more game plans out. So.
All right. So you had a bye week. Did you get a chance to get away from it all? And wasn't it good to go into the bye week with a victory? Because that actually gives you guys a chance to roll a little bit.
Yeah, that definitely gives you just some momentum to keep going. Now that we've got this bye week, we got this 10-game stretch. So it's going to be a long one. But
pedal to the metal.
Yeah. So
meanwhile, you guys got a little help. Philadelphia lost and the 49ers lost a couple of games.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped.
We got,
y'all still in the hunt.
Yeah, always in the hunt. But yeah, I went back home, to get to relax.
On game day, what is your ritual? What do you have to have a certain kind of music to get fired up? You eat a certain thing?
No, I don't really have no ritual. Only thing is probably this. I would have to listen kind of R&B and stuff.
Right.
Early on.
Who?
I like to listen kind of the 90s old R&B.
Oh, okay. Go. Keep sweating. No.
It's in my playlist.
Yeah,
though.
there you go, guy.
Yeah. I just try to.
They'll be able to vote.
Yeah, a little bit. I just try to have something just keep me kind of calm, just not get too excited.
And can you talk about some of this veteran leadership? Because it looks like veterans always keep everybody on point. Like it's a long season. Don't don't go through the highs and lows.
Yeah,
who's your go-to?
Veteran. I got Stephon right next to me. So
yep.
So that's one of the biggest go-tos. But I got vets all around. J-Ron Curtis. I got Malik Hooker. I got Trey.
Everybody's got your back.
Yeah. So it's a lot of people I can go to. But you always need that. Because going into the season, I got all this stuff going on. You got to try to learn how to take care of your body, how to just be a professional, really.
Right.
So just having those vets means a lot.
Well, good luck this afternoon against those Rams.
Thank you.
Ron Bland.
DaRon Bland, one of my favorite Cowboys, he has given up the lowest passer rating allowed among defensive backs so far this year. He stepped in for Trayvon Diggs, and he's done a fantastic job, and he will have his hands full today versus Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell. The passing attack with the Rams and Sean McVay, of course, is going to present some challenges, and we look forward to breaking this game down even more over the course of the next 2.5 hours or so, taking you up until kickoff, the official pregame. Cowboys and Rams here at AT&T Stadium. Welcome to Week 8 of the 2023 NFL season. Babe Laufenberg, how are you doing, sir? Off a bye, you got to be feeling fresh legs today, huh?
Well, off a bye, fresh legs, off a World Series Game 1 win. But I always tell Brad Sham I hate the noon games. They just come around too early for me. But then when they end, right, we say, so long, everybody.
Yeah.
I love the noon game because then you're home and you're watching the afternoon games and the evening game. It's great.
Yeah, it's all good vibes when you roll up in here at about 8:30 in the morning on a game day. Everybody's excited, like, hey, how about this? We got a noon game. We're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna have a family dinner, Sunday family dinner. So that's very, very exciting.
Yeah, but Brad Sham and I have to do a post-game show. So we have to do a little bit more, but that's part of what we do.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
Babe
what,
gets
Brian,
to happy hour a little bit earlier than you two do.
Well,
exactly.
I will call from the car on my ride home. How's that?
There you go. Appreciate that. Hey, well, okay, Babe, the way the collective bargaining agreement is, players get the opportunity to go away for a few days. Coaches try to maybe game plan some stuff, kind of get some ideas, self-scout. If you had to self-scout the Cowboys from what you saw the first 6, is there an area that you would like to say, hey, we need to improve right here going forward? Either offensively or defensively, either one.
Yeah, I wish I had a revelation where I could say, hey, here's what they need to work on. But I think the average fan could tell you, right?
Sure.
They don't have a lot of deep balls in the passing game. And I'm not saying throwing goes. I'm just saying big routes that are going to get you anywhere from that 15 to 25-yard reception, like the Rams have, by the way. The Rams are second in the NFL in terms of big pass plays. They got to improve the running game. That just means you got to work on it some more. Everything defensively, the problem defensively is now you've lost your best player in the back end, right? I think we could all safely assume we'd say Trayvon Diggs was their best player in the secondary. You've lost your best linebacker in Leighton Vander Esch. So when you start picking these pieces off, I know everybody nationally looks in, and I guarantee you no one worries about Trayvon Diggs being out. They look at the quarterback, right?
Right.
Or if they have the receiver on the fantasy team and they say, oh, that's going to affect them. But like the Arizona game, right? Everybody nationally was, how do you lose to Arizona? Well, you didn't have 3 of your starting offensive linemen in that game. That I'm not, saying, oh, well, of course you're going to lose. But, the defense, it's a game of attrition. I always say it's a game of attrition, and the defense has to stay healthy.
Well, Babe, when you scout out this Rams team, what do your quarterback eyes tell you about old Matthew Stafford? How much does he still have left in the tank?
You know what's funny? To that question, you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, he's had some issues, some elbow. He himself said, hey, I'm not 25 anymore, I'm 35, but I can still do this. He roped an in route at about, the ball was 30 yards in the air, and it never left 6 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
It was just like, whew. It's like, okay, yep, he can still throw it. So, hey, the thing that has always impressed me about Matthew Stafford, I guess there have been a couple of things. First and foremost, when he was in Detroit, played on all those bad teams, I don't think I ever once heard him complain. I don't think I ever heard him once say, they got to get me help, I don't have this, I don't have that. That's hard to do when you're that quarterback because obviously you're going to be taking the brunt of why you're losing. Then obviously he went to the Rams, they won a Super Bowl. His career arc changed a little bit there. The other thing is he is as tough as they come. You watch him take hits. He ran the ball a couple times last week against Pittsburgh when they needed it. Trust me, there's no RPOs in the Rams game here. But when he had to run it on third down, he put his head down, made a couple of first downs. So nothing but admiration for Matthew Stafford from me.
Babe, when I studied the game this week, I always think about watching Aaron Donald play, but Byron Young at the end, at the edge, he caught mine. The rookie from Tennessee. The thing with the Rams, they do a good job in the secondary. They're not going to give you much completions. These corners are playing well, but this Byron Young, I'm like going, gosh, I remember him at Tennessee coming off the edge, being a problem. If the Cowboys are having issues with Tyron Smith not playing today, could we see some problems from any of the edges that play for the Rams today?
You're exactly right. He does jump out to you. Now, I guess he should, right? He's 250 pounds and he runs a 4.4. I would say I'd never seen any tape on him, but draft him.
Right.
250, 4.4, let's get him. He is an interesting story. I'll try to be brief here, but he was a no-star guy coming out of high school, didn't have grades.
Right.
He actually was working at a Dollar General and Circle K store and saw an ad for this local football team. I mean, this is a kid that was out of high school, not doing anything. Ultimately becomes a third-round draft pick for the Rams. But obviously he's raw. But, to me, it's good you're playing him now because you play this guy down the road or a couple of years, he's going to be a force. And then we know what Aaron Donald's about. And I always tell people, they ask me about doing the game, and I always say, Brad has the football, and I'm looking at the defense. I catch the football out of the corner of my eye when it gets snapped. Brad,
I love it.
Watches the football, looks at the defense out of the corner of his eye. With Aaron Donald, and when he lines up over Zach Martin, I am going to not kind of look at that secondary and how they're playing it. I'm going right to Aaron Donald and Zach Martin in that matchup because it's a good one.
As you should, man. That's a trench headliner right there. Babe Laufenberg with us here on the official pregame show of the Dallas Cowboys, getting you set for Cowboys and Rams. You know, we mentioned the young guy defensively. They have Byron Young. But offensively, this Puka Nacua, I mean, man, it seemed like they didn't miss a beat the first few weeks of the season without Cooper Kupp. Nacua steps in. Now they have both of these guys, and I'm like, it's kind of a pick your poison, it feels like, defensively today.
Yeah, I mean, who knew? And then the interesting thing is they come back, they play Pittsburgh. So Cooper Kupp out the first 4 games. So you knew that, okay, his balls are going to have to go somewhere, and they ended up going to Puka Nacua. Well, Cooper Kupp comes back, and Nacua catches 8 catches for 154 against Pittsburgh last week. So they're a good double threat there, and I love the fact too. You look at they got Cooper Kupp in the 3rd round. He was a 3rd rounder.
Sure.
Now, obviously, one of the top 5 receivers, and this Nacua out of the 4th round. Matter of fact, he was their 4th round pick. Rams had a ton of picks. They had 14 picks in the draft. They had 4 4th rounders. He was the last of their 4th rounders, but he may turn out obviously to be the best. I'm fascinated by the way that all the motion, babe, that they're able to, the shifting, the way, that they're, and not that Matthew Stafford needs any help with reading coverages or anything like that, but what is the challenge today for the Cowboys defense for a team that does very, very motion heavy? I think it's just like they got against San Francisco, right? They're different, but the motions are kind of similar. Now, San Francisco plays with a fullback, right, with Juszczyk, and Rams are strictly 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 back, 3 receivers. They're going to hit you with that all game long. So a little different from that standpoint, but schematically, you're exactly right. All this motion, ball gets snapped, a lot of tight formations. You'll see them bunched up. You'll see all 11 guys within 15 yards of each other. Sure. They don't even need the rest of the field. So they do stuff a little different that way. The thing that impresses me about Cooper Kupp and the Rams receivers and the way they coach them, just if you're out here today, fellas, just watch them get off the ball. I mean, they are exploding. It looks like they're in a 10-yard dash, like they're timing at the combine to run the fastest 10 yards. And you really don't see that from a lot of receivers. You see bad stances. Even in the NFL. And these guys just, boom, they hit it. And Cooper Kupp is like that. The other thing I admire about Cooper Kupp, all that motion, I mean, it can wear you out, right? Your motion, and that motion is not like a jog across. They are hitting at full speed.
Right.
But he is just as strong in the 4th quarter as he is in the 1st quarter. You even go back to the touchdown drive they had against Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. And Cooper Kupp must have run, of course, here we have GPS systems on everyone. We can tell you exactly how far he ran. He didn't care. Just like, I'm going. He must have run 4 miles in the last drive. That's how active he was for the touchdown drive that ultimately won that Super Bowl for the Rams. So very impressive guy from that standpoint.
Yeah, you don't really even consider that. Like all the running, we all want the motion, and especially this fast motion at the snap where these guys, as you mentioned, are running full speed. But it would be fun to look at some of the tracking numbers and see how much more running a Cooper Kupp or a Nacua or any one of these teams. Tyreek Hill in Miami, it seems like he's in motion every play. How much more running is he doing than the average wide receiver? Because that is extremely taxing. And babe, speaking of running, Did you like what you saw Dak running the last time this team played versus the Chargers Monday Night Football? Seemed like he was using his legs to success. Should we be seeing more of that?
Well, I think the Chargers game and the way they played defense, and Mike McCarthy alluded to it a little bit in his press conferences, it just lent itself to that in terms of the scrambles. Not every team is going to give you that. You're going to step up today, and you're going to step into Aaron Donald.
Right.
Last week, he stepped up, peeled out left and right and found some room there. They had the 18-yard touchdown, obviously, on the little, read option. I think you're going to see a little bit. And to me, with Dak, you just want to be judicious of your use of him running. And any quarterback, in my mind. Hey, Anthony Richardson, right? Hey, big, 240, guy can take a pounding. He's out for the season. And I watched a couple of early Indianapolis games, and I said, he's not going to last. He will not make it through the season. And he didn't even make it halfway through the season. So you just want to be careful about getting your quarterback hit. That said, you get down into the red zone, down into the low red zone, 10 yards and in, you get almost all man coverage down there. And that's the time that Dak running becomes effective because they don't account for the quarterback in the run game in man coverage.
Babe, and you mentioned you talk about the running game for the Cowboys. I think there were some things when you watch the All-22 scheme related that they're doing that as well. I think the idea of how they're trying to run the football, they always talk about execution and maybe a little bit of some struggle at the point of attack. Are you seeing the same thing, or is it any other ideas you have about the Cowboys trying to run the football, not just today but going forward?
Yeah, not really schematically. It sounds trite and it sounds like coach speak, and I guess it is, but they just have to execute better.
They really do.
They really haven't been great up front, and some of their really good guys haven't been great up front. Mm-hmm. And I think we forget, too, hey, as soon as a guy goes on the field, he's ready to go. He's 100%. Well, Terrence Steele is coming off a major late-season knee injury. For him to even have been available in Game 1, I don't want to say it was miraculous, but that was pretty amazing. And so he's working his way back. And as we all know, those knee injuries, they play the first year, and then they become the guy that they were in the second year. So I think Terrence Steele, without having personally examined that knee, I think he's dealing with a little bit of that. And they haven't been as good up front across the board. Hey, Tyron Smith, great player,
sure, going
to the Hall of Fame. Not the same player he was at 25, as Matthew Stafford pointed out about himself. So we'll see. But no question, they have to run the ball a little bit better. And I'll tell you, too, the other part that kind of, to me, gets overlooked, and I'm not saying, trust me, I'm not saying they should have kept this guy. But you get down in that red zone. Zeke Elliott was a horse down there. You talk about not scoring touchdowns in the red zone. I mean, that was Zeke's job, right?
Yes.
And he scored a bunch of them over his career, scored a bunch of them last year. And I think that's missing a little bit for them, trying to run the ball down in tight.
Babe, appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy the game.
Okay, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. There goes Babe Laufenberg right here on the official pregame show of America's Team. Brought to you by Papa John's. It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. The Cowboys special from Papa John's, a large one-topping pizza for only $9.99. You can order today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm getting some whispers about a brisket mac and cheese bowl courtesy of Legends Hospitality here at AT&T Stadium today. That is going to be a must-try if you're making your way out to the ball game today. 2 hours, 5 minutes to kick off. Let's welcome in Fox Television's Tom Rinaldi, the legend himself. He'll be roaming the sidelines for Fox today, and he joins the conversation next right here on The Fan.
Tom Thumb's new Drive Up and Go service makes grocery shopping easy and convenient for anyone.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is the Dallas Cowboys pregame show.
Fade up and caught. Touchdown, Dallas.
Brought to you by
Bell Nunnally, attorneys and counselors. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. And by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza.
Hey,
Hi.
check it out. Team jackets. Oh, nice. These are sick.
Ooh, nice. Love it.
Wait, why does mine say little baby KK?
Because that's your nickname. I'm Ace. Tom's Rhino.
I'm Rhino. Gregonator.
And obviously, you're a little baby KK.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a little baby KK. They printed up the jackets. It's a done deal.
It does say little baby KK.
You can't argue with the jacket, little baby KK. What's gotten into him?
Classic little baby KK.
My favorite commercial going right now. It's Tom Rinaldi time here on the official pregame show of your Dallas Cowboys. Under 2 hours to kick off. We're here at AT&T Stadium. Fox TV's Tom Rinaldi will be all over these sidelines today, and he joins us now live from the AT&T Stadium turf. Tom, welcome into the program, sir. Happy game day. How are you?
Hey, happy game day. Thanks for having me again, guys. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Hey, likewise, man. It's a real treat for us. Big ups to you with your acting chops. I had no idea you were such a thespian.
Settle down. Settle down. Control your people in there. Control your partner in there, will you? Come on.
Well, Tom, it seems like you guys have a blast together. I mean, you, Burkhardt, Olsen, Aaron Andrews, you guys just seem to have so much fun doing what you do together. You're a great team. And I'm curious just how much fun you're having this season, man. You're always all over the place with the college football big noon. You're doing the NFL stuff. It's a dream that you're living.
It is, and it's a lottery-winning job. I say it over and over again. We're so grateful, and you know this, guys. When you do this, when you're blessed enough to have the chance to do something that doesn't feel like work, the additional layer of joy comes from the people you spend so much time with because we're away from our families. And it's such a pleasure to be with this crew. EA is the absolute standard in the business. I learned so much from her. She's wonderful as a partner. And listen, Greg and KB, two Jersey guys like I am, they've known each other since high school when Kevin called Greg's games back then, which is incredible to think they've now gone together to partner in a booth and call a Super Bowl. When it comes from them, Richie Zions, Rich Russo, the guys in our truck, it really is a joy. It's a wonderful group to be a part of.
Tom, what makes a great sideline interview?
That's a good question, and this is going to sound like an obvious answer. I think it's listening. So many times we're so concerned with what the next question is that the answer to the first or second question leads you someplace that suggests a follow-up. And if you're too concerned with what your next question is, you don't listen to what that first answer is. And there's two problems with that. One, you're not serving the viewer well enough by following up on something that was just presented. And two, I think it suggests to the coach or the player that you're not paying attention as much as you should be. So I think it's listening. And believe me, that's something I'm still working on.
I know people always ask, my gosh, you do all this talking for so long. I'm like, it's not the talking, it's the listening that is actually could be the biggest challenge here. But well, Tom, what have you learned? What are some of your takeaways sitting down, getting prepped for this particular game here, Cowboys Rams? Who'd you talk with, and what are some of your interesting takeaways from the coaches and the players?
So I will be on the Rams sideline. Had a chance to talk to several players during the week and to the coaches, etc. I think the biggest word that's come up on the Rams side, guys, is consistency. And they're bemoaning their lack of consistency, feeling like, and if you look at how they net out statistically, they are a better team than their record suggests. But in the moments of truth, as Sean McVay calls them, they have come up short. In those plays that have to be made, as Matthew Stafford told me, the margin for this team is smaller than it's been in the past. And if we don't make the play in that moment of truth, we don't win the game. Now, there's a pressure to that, but there's also a clarity to it. speaking to the Cowboys, I so enjoy what Mike McCarthy shares with us in our production meetings with him. I found him to be so thoughtful and insightful. And one of the things that he talked about, guys, was this across-the-hall dynamic that he's done 3 times a year in OTAs, during camp, and coming off the bye, where guys go from their side of the ball to the other side of the ball and try to work for a half a day on what it's like to defend rather than score, what it's like to score rather than defend. I think that's so smart, and it builds a unity, and it gels a group together in a way that I think very few teams do. I have not heard of other teams doing that. I think it's very, very smart. I also think a simple change, guys, like having the players not stay in a hotel the night before. We know how effective they've been in terms of this home win streak. That's worked very well, too. There's so many tidbits and nuggets you're never going to get to in the game, but it's so fascinating, and we're so privileged to be able to have this time with the coaches and players in these production calls and meetings.
Well, Tom, as thorough as you are with your job, I'm sure you've got the sleep schedule down of Coach McVay now with new child.
Wow!
You're going to somehow. I know you're going to work it into the broadcast somehow. I know you are.
Well, okay. So my favorite line from him, I don't know if you guys saw it. He echoed it on our call with him this week. Was that after he dug in on the tape of Dallas, he wanted to go back to the hospital. I thought that was a great. I thought that was a great line. He gave us a different version of that, maybe a little more salty, but that was a great line. Another point, he gets on the Zoom with us, and it's just, coaches never sleep to begin with.
No.
So how do you can't subtract from 0, but I think he has subtracted from 0 in this case. He said, I'm operating almost entirely on adrenaline and on fumes. And listen, you know the guy's competitive spirit. Sure. You know what kind of energy he has and tries to infuse into his team. But to have a baby on the off day scheduled on Tuesday, to see what his wife went through, that inspired him, and I think that's given him energy as well.
Tom, if you say the name Puka Nacua, I'm thinking you're doing a spot at a surf shop somewhere in Hawaii. You're telling me a story about how Puka and his family did something to get him involved with football. What a really nice story for him as a player and for the Rams.
And I also think one of the stories that we'll see how the game plays out that we'll share is the relationship between Cooper Kupp and Puka, and sort of this master-student relationship, if you will. And that's really up to both guys, right? I mean, it's up to Cooper Kupp to have the generosity of spirit to want to help a young buck come and find his stride, and obviously Puka's done that remarkably quickly. But it's also up to Nacua to be open and be a sponge and be humble and want to learn from a player who's accomplished this cup. Matthew Stafford spent a few minutes talking with me this week about how impressed he's been with both guys and how quickly they have formed this bond. Because we know that for Dallas to be successful in this game, one or both of those guys is going to have to be limited. If they both get off, that's a long day for Dallas.
Tom Rinaldi with us here on The Fan. And we'll get a Hall of Fame matchup between Aaron Donald and Zach Martin.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to catch up with Aaron Donald this week?
You know what's interesting? This is the longest sackless streak of Aaron Donald's career. He has not had a sack in the last 3 games. So is that the fact that every team game plans against him, double teams at times, puts 3 men on him, including a chip? Yeah. That's almost impossible to overcome. So the question is, how does that help the players around him? Talking to Raheem Morris, the DC this week, he really compared Aaron Donald to Kobe and MJ. Not in the sporty plays, but in the mindset he practices. That he has that Mamba mentality. He's got that instinct where his competitive will is so great that it lifts all the players around him. One simple example, an anecdote that Morris shared with us was Morris getting on him and telling him, you're getting older, Donald, and I have a feeling, I'm just telling you, that when you retire, you're going to get fat. This is what he said to Aaron Donald. Ever since saying that, every day, they have a sit-up or crunch challenge, the two of them.
Wow.
Because that bothered him that much. So that gives you a sense there as to that competitive will, his ability to raise everyone's play around him. Because we know he's an absolute generational player.
Yes, I mean, my gosh, the fact that we're talking about a 3-game sack drought being the longest sack drought of his career is pretty dang amazing.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. And watching their tape, they sometimes send 5 linemen his way. You know, so now it's about it's amazing to watch him play that way. Tom, you talked about, do you feel like, though, that the Rams receivers could be a problem for the Cowboys today? Is that their best path to victory from the conversations you've had with them?
I do, and listen, I also think it comes down to protection. Matthew Stafford, without any doubt, guys, and here's one of the great things about being on the sideline, is you're really able to see arm talent up close. And Matthew Stafford in his 15th season is without question elite. He can fit a ball in a tight window. He can throw a ball like a frozen rope. He's still near the very top of this league in making the difficult throw. The question is, does he have time and can he develop rhythm in doing that? When he does have the time, he's lethal, right? He's top 5 in passing yards already this season. He's proven that he still has it as he returns home here for the 4th game he's going to play at AT&T in his career. But without that time, cue Micah, cue the stunts and the games we're going to see on that line. Without that, then you're putting him off schedule. You're making him throw on the run. You're making him do some of the things that he's not as comfortable doing. And that's a big, big key to Dallas in this game.
You know, Tom, I can't let you out of here without talking a little college football with you. Of course, a part of the Fox Big Noon kickoff. I loved your piece with OU Sooners quarterback Dylan Gabriel. That was special, but just would love to get some college football thoughts from you right now. It's been one heck of a season so far.
It has been, and God, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate you watching. We're really trying to build something with Big Noon. We've been so excited about the guys on the desk and the spirit that we share. It was great to have Mark Ingram come in, and along with Brady and Matt and Urban and Stoney on the desk. Love the college game and always will. Big blow, guys, to the Big 12, wasn't it?
Yes.
To see OU lose. Now, it's that double-edged sword. You want the overall quality of the conference to be high. You want it to be competitive. But then you enter that dynamic where the conference eats its own. And at the end of the day, does anybody stand tall enough to make what's only 4 slots? And I think that was a massive blow to the Big 12 to see KU get that really seminal win. But for OU's hopes, that was brutal, especially when does Texas still have a chance? Some of that's, dependent upon how Alabama does. It remains fascinating with the 4 teams. We're going to have the chance to go and sit down with Jaden Daniels, guys. And for those who haven't seen him play for LSU, or who may have said, you know what, this guy isn't everything he's cracked up to be because they saw the season opening loss. This is a guy with 30 total touchdowns and 3 picks who could have been a fairly high draft choice but came back for his last year. This guy's a fascinating, dynamic player. And Bama-LSU is a titanic matchup, no matter what the records are, every week. Can't wait for that one.
Well, as an LSU man, Tom, I appreciate you going in there and doing a story on him. Absolutely. He's had a phenomenal season, so I'm looking forward to the coverage of that.
Absolutely special player, special place, special program.
Yep, and you're a special man. Kudos to you juggling all the things that you do from a broadcast standpoint while also being able to be a stud coach for Southeastern football, Lion Up football. Congratulations, Tom. You're doing it all, my friend.
We so appreciate you watching. For those, the very quick reference there is a defensive line coach at Southeastern Louisiana in the Southland Conference who's named, unfortunately for him, Tom Rinaldi. Who is bald, jacked, bearded, and tatted, which is absolutely the 4 boxes I will never check. So, thank you for bringing that up. We had a great time, too. Coach Tom's a great dude.
Dude, that was special. That was special. Always a great time hanging out with Tom Rinaldi, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it, Tom. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Yes, sir. There he goes. Fox TV's Tom Rinaldi all over the sidelines today at AT&T Stadium for Cowboys and Rams, brought to you by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It is Miller time, and it is behind enemy lines time. Let's welcome in the voice of the Rams, JB Long, live from AT&T Stadium. Next, right here on The Fan.
Bell Nunnally has been committed to serving their clients for more than 4 decades.
Here at SoFi Stadium, takes a quick snap. 3rd down and 9 to the right pylon, and it's caught! Touchdown! Cooper Kupp! Touchdown LA! 13 yards for his first touchdown this season. 9 and dime on the money on the first possession of the 3rd quarter.
It's time to go behind enemy lines here on the official pregame show of America's team. Rams play-by-play man JB Long sits down with us here in the Brad Sham radio booth. Broaddus, you're pointing fingers.
I'll tell you what, that man can paint a picture, can he?
Oh, he can.
He's telling you about sunlight, and he's working it all in. I love it, man. I had the opportunity to talk to JB early in the week. We kind of traded some.
A little home and home here?
So a little home and home. Yeah, we're kind of working, helping each other out here. But it's great to have him with us today.
Yes, sir, JB. Thanks for hanging out, man. How
Thank
are you?
you for the introduction, and maybe if I can pull off another 40 years of those or so, I'll have my name outside the door just like Brad does here.
That's right.
In Arlington.
Yeah, man. How about that? We got the Brad Sham posters going on here in the Brad Sham radio booth as well. He is the legend. I do have a particular Brad Sham-esque question for you at some point before we let you out of here. But what's the status of these Rams right now? You're approaching the deadline. You're off a very disappointing loss versus the Steelers. You feel like you let one get away. I'm wondering if this is a game where, hey, you win, maybe you're buyers at the trade deadline. You lose, do you become sellers?
Yeah, I mean, I think every organization would tell you that they're exploring every option, right? And they're making every phone call and fielding every text. But there is something to be said about this being a separation Sunday around the league. And not just the Rams' outcome here, but also what happens around the rest of the NFC. A couple of weeks ago, we probably would have said, okay, Minnesota, stay on this trend.
Right.
See if Kirk Cousins will waive his no-trade clause. Well, then they go and beat San Francisco in front of a national audience. They get a very gettable Green Bay team today. Their whole picture has changed. Washington's probably sliding in the other direction, right?
Sure.
So, as you know better than anyone, it takes 2 to tango. But the Rams do have to take care of their business here because 4-4 is a much different picture than 3-5. Even though I do feel like they've played the toughest schedule in the league to date, opponent and place, and that there are some winnable games in the second half of their schedule if they can stay in the fight.
JB, what's kept the Rams from pushing this thing to the finish line? And when you watch your guys' tape, you know, there's so much talent, you know, with Byron Young. I love what he's done. I studied him as a rookie. I love what he's doing for the Rams where they got him. Great value there. You know, we kind of, Aaron Donald has been a guy that's always been a problem for the Cowboys. But where's been the issues for the Rams when it comes to finishing these games?
So the really easy cop-out answer would be, hey, they drafted 14 rookies. They all made the team. This is a young group that doesn't have a killer instinct yet. But the truth of the matter is some of their most costly mistakes have been by their senior leaders, by their captains. Matthew Stafford comes out and throws an interception on the first play of the 3rd quarter last week, sets Pittsburgh up for their first touchdown. Cooper Kupp drops his first 2 targets last week. I said we're living in a world where we never see that again. Right. So there's all sorts of things across the game, across the roster that have been uncharacteristic, things that you would not hope for. But they've missed 2 major opportunities. They got Joe Burrow on one leg in Cincinnati on Monday Night Football and squandered that one. And they got, Kenny Pickett and the Steelers. They had them dead to rights, a chance to go up 2 scores, and they just haven't been able to capitalize on those complementary football situations where maybe you get a takeaway deep in your own end. You can't flip that into points. Maybe you convert on a Stafford scramble on 3rd and long last week, which never happens.
Never happens, yeah.
And you come away empty-handed, right? So they just haven't had that finishing blow yet. And the good news is they've been in all 7 games they've played with a path to victory.
Absolutely.
The bad news is 3-4 is a pretty fair reflection of how they've handled those crucial situations.
Voice of the Rams, JB Long, hanging out with us here on The Fan. What's going on with Stafford? I've actually been pretty impressed with him this year. I was kind of like, I was wondering if was there anything left in the tank here? It shows he's still got the pop.
No doubt. This is as well as I've seen him throw the football. And when you kind of take his 3-year history with the Rams, the first, he's leaving Detroit and the city and the franchise that he's known for his entire professional career. And he and McVay are learning each other and trying to speak the same language. It obviously had tremendous results by the end of that season with the Super Bowl championship. But then in year 2, short off season, he's less than 100%, doesn't throw the entire OTA session, load management during training camp, and you felt that. Last season, which was one of his worst professionally. Now in year 3, I think you're seeing the confluence of both of those elements. He's as healthy as he's been as a Ram. He and Sean McVay are in lockstep. And he's been making some throws that only 4 or 5 people on the planet can make week in and week out. And so that's why the Rams are kind of in this no man's land. And I mean that in the most positive sense, where you can't rebuild, you can't tear it down so long as 9, 10, and 99, Stafford, Kupp, and Aaron Donald are suiting up. You got a chance every week and in every season. And so long as that's the case with this head coach, they're going to go for it. There's no such thing as a tanking year for the Los Angeles Rams in that construct. But here they are right around 500, and that puts you in a perilous place in the NFL structure.
JB, you asked me this week about my thoughts about with Micah Parsons and what you guys were is that the biggest concern for you guys? You think defensively today is how do you find ways to handle Michael Parsons?
I think so. This offensive line has really protected well. I think that's been the biggest area of improvement for the Rams from 22 to 23. However, if they're without their right tackle and Captain Rob Havenstein today, that's a major issue. Fortunately, they have 3 caliber starting tackles, and so Joe Noteboom, who they signed to be their left tackle of the future, maybe slots in there and gives them a fighting chance. But whether it's Parsons or Lawrence or Oso, who I know is playing really well, unlike some quarterbacks that you guys have faced, either in your division or around the league, Matthew Stafford, we all know, is not the most mobile. He's going to have to beat you with his eyes, with his brain, with his arm talent. And he and McVay are capable of doing that, but this is a fascinating matchup because in a lot of ways, I think it's reflective of the same issues that gave them trouble last week against Pittsburgh, except for the fact that the offense is even better than that of the Steelers. So this is a game where you're going to have to score 7. You're going to have to get to 30 points, maybe to have a chance to win, which means your quarterback has to drop to 5 or to 7 against this pass rush.
But he's done a good job against pressure this year, though,
he has.
right? With the thing with Stafford, I mean, the kind of the problem that Dan Quinn, in my opinion, is going to have to worry about is how much pressure, and that's one thing Dallas, we all know, can do. They can pressure. But Stafford has done a pretty good job in handling pressure this year.
He has, and I think the way the Rams have bulked up guard to guard, rookie Steve Avila of TCU has been tremendous plugging in at left guard, and then they traded for Kevin Dotson late in the summer.
He's been
from
really
Pittsburgh,
good for you.
Has been arguably one of the best guards in the league. And what that's allowed Matthew to do, because you can envision his style, right, especially playing emptying out of the gun.
Right.
He's not going to spin out of a pocket and flip his hips, despite the touchdown he threw last week on a play similar to what I'm describing. But what he can do is hitch and step up and hit every arm angle and every throwing window.
He'll drop down on you in a heartbeat.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if you give him that clean platform to move up, then your tackles do take a little bit of pressure off if they can just push a rush up the field. So that's something to probably watch today is how much Stafford is able to just hitch forward, buy that extra second to catch a second or third window opportunity.
Voice of the Rams, JB Long with us here on The Fan. How about the Hall of Fame matchup between Aaron Donald and Zach Martin today?
Love it. Yeah, there was a similar one with Quentin Nelson in Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago. And those are just the days you relish as a fan of football and as a fan of Aaron Donald, because it's like watching a peak NBA matchup, right? When you just know that you're going to get good on good. And we're used to Aaron having, 6 eyes and 900 pounds going up against him every week in this league. But occasionally you get kind of that just mano-a-mano, let's see how it stacks up. And this is one of those deals where, if it's a 7-game series, whoever wins, 4 out of those 7 might have the chance to come away with a victory today.
The competitive streak I hear about Aaron Donald is just through the roof.
It is, and he's done a really good job, I think, keeping a lid on his frustration and his emotion, because he doesn't have a Von Miller in this room, right? Or even a Dante Fowler. Like, there's a lot on his plate, and you'll see him move around today as much as he ever has in his career. He can take on tackle to tackle, guard to guard, even line up over center. He stood up as like a joker linebacker rusher. So they're doing a lot of creative things to try and get him isolated opportunities, which is really hard to do given the reputation that precedes him. But it's fascinating because I think they have to win with 4 today, because as I study it, it seems the thing that Dak has done best through the passing game this year is attack extra rushers, is attack blitzers, and find the soft spot in coverage.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to brag on Witherspoon and Kendrick, because, watching them play, and then metrics will tell you that they've been outstanding, like less than 50% completions against them. What's made them so good on the at the corner spot this year?
I think they're really well coached. I think Raheem Morris is one of the more underrated defensive coordinators in the league, and getting Aubrey Pleasant back from Detroit to coach that position group has happened at just the right time for a young and upcoming secondary. a strange paradox, though, because on the one hand, the Rams have done a really good job keeping opposing offenses out of the end zone through the air. They haven't allowed big-time passer ratings. And it's curious because they don't have a Jalen Ramsey.
No, they don't.
They don't have a Von Miller. They don't have a Dante Fowler. They really just have Aaron Donald and a cast of characters. And so how they're holding up so well against some elite receivers. I mean, you're talking about the DK Metcalfs in Seattle and the Jamar Chases in Cincinnati. It's a little bit hard to explain, and maybe they're just dodging, the right attacks, because certainly CD in this group has the potential to go off against him. But so far, they've avoided most of the heat from the best passing attacks in the National Football League.
Can you give us some cheat codes on how to get Brandon Cooks going? Because we're trying to figure this out, man. He was dynamite in a Rams uniform. It seems like he's been a big play guy everywhere he goes. He comes here, and it's like we can't get more than 8 yards of pop out of him right now.
I would love to hear your all explanation for that, and for fantasy football owners, too, wondering, how does CeeDee Lamb only have one touchdown to this point in the season? There are some perplexing things looking at the Cowboys from afar. Is it too easy an explanation just to say that's kind of how the Texas coast design is meant to operate in this current construct with McCarthy?
We're all trying to kind of figure that out. And, I feel like myself in watching Cooks play, and you probably know this as well, one of the best route runners you got. And when the metrics will tell you, too, when he's on the field, it's 8 yards a shot. When he's off the field, it's 5 yards a shot. There's things that will tell you, though, if you get him involved, that you're going to have some success.
His speed is still there.
It is. The route running, the speed, the ability to separate, all those things are there. That they just cannot get these guys the ball with any consistency. And Dak was against the Chargers was really him. They had no running game. The offensive line, there was times where he was having to move around, but they are really struggling. Kellen Moore had, it seemed like, a better ability of getting the receivers these balls, and here it's been a little bit of a struggle.
I feel that stress. Just looking at them from a scouting standpoint, how do you cope with all three of those, and especially the way that Pollard catches the ball out of the backfield? I think tackling on arrival, tackling on first contact is a big indicator for the Rams today, because Ernest Jones can run really well sideline to sideline. I think his knee's finally feeling good. But if Pollard is getting yards after catch and yards after contact, it's really hard for me to see this Rams defense being able to keep the Cowboys off the board.
I will say, JB, don't take for granted having a Jedi play designer like Sean McVay, because I feel like we're living in the 90s every time I watch the Cowboys.
Why are you using his real name? You always call him, McSexy, or what do you call him?
Well, we'll save that for the weekdays, all right? This is a game day, Cowboys Radio Network. We're keeping it classy.
It's been interesting. At home for Sean, as you might have heard, he and his wife welcomed their first child on Tuesday, and it's reminiscent of 2019 for me. Our second son was born on a Friday before our trip here in 2019 when you beat the brakes off of us.
Oh, wow.
So I left the hospital on a Saturday night, took the red eye in, got a quick workout in at the hotel, came and did the game, was back on the team charter, and missed less than 24 hours. A total blur, but now I'm watching my head coach go through something similar where he's saying, the sleep deprivation is real. I'll be curious to see what kind of pop he's got today.
I had a son that was born 3 days after the 2004 NFL draft, and I told Parcells, I said, he goes, "You're going to be here, aren't you?" I go, "If this kid's born during the draft, you got to do this by yourself." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, it's my only child. What are you doing? You're trying to call me out on this? Heck.
Yeah, man, you don't want to miss those moments. That's for sure.
No.
What does JB Long do with his Super Bowl ring?
It's at home. I won't give you my address just in case there's any curious listeners. It's kind of hidden in plain sight. It's too gaudy to be a piece of jewelry, right? I think of it more as a small trophy than a big piece of jewelry.
You guys, it's funny. I was fortunate to be on a Super Bowl team in '96 with Green Bay, and there's a lot smaller where you could actually wear them.
Right.
But where we've gotten now, where they have the ability to take the top off and do all that stuff.
Such an arms race,
you can't even wear them. It's just too much.
I haven't seen the Chiefs yet, but I'd be curious to kind of see and contrast.
They're getting
and compare
bigger and bigger. But you guys did that whole thing.
You get to the point where you hit a ceiling, I think, and you got to go in a different direction.
Well, and now they're doing the thing where there's a ring inside of the ring.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
you open up
the Denver Nuggets. They just unveiled their new championship ring, and I'm like, man.
Same owners, Rams, Nuggets kind of a thing.
That's
right,
the Cronkies.
Yep.
Okay, now question for you here, JB.
Yeah.
We're in the Brad Sham radio booth. When it's a home game here for Brad Sham, he gets the sham sushi rolled in at halftime.
Does he really?
In the booth, he does. That's the legend status that he has reached, and it's well deserved. Generally speaking, at halftime, we know Al Michaels is a steak guy. My guy Brad Sham is a sushi guy. How much halftime eating do you do?
It's extremely variable. On my best weekends, there's nothing, right? Because I've already kind of, hit the buffet a couple hours before, and I want to be lean and mean. I don't want to be choking on any popcorn or something while we're trying to get those play calls out, and then I can scarf after the game. In my lesser moments, especially at SoFi Stadium, if the game's not going well and I'm an emotional eater, sometimes it gets a bit gnarly with the chicken fingers and the chimichangas and the things that we have behind us.
I love that.
His menu is a lot. That's for you. The chicken fingers and the chimichanga. That's all about you.
Sushi seems like a very nice, happy medium, though, and I can see why Brad has had the career that he's had because it's filling, it's delicious, but it's not something that's going to bog you down for the third and fourth quarter.
Walk up your stairs there and make a right around the corner and come grab you some. I'm sure Brad.
They'll be looking at my Rams paraphernalia and attire strangely. I'll tell you,
Brad's a good dude. Brad's all about this.
He's been very kind to me. So has Babe been. In fact, my first game with the Rams was that preseason game at the Coliseum when was it Lucky Whitehead? I think returned the opening kickoff.
Yes.
And it was one of those, in my mind's eye, light bulbs popping, like, are you ready for prime time? And I got caught with my pants down. I had no idea that the first NFL play call I would ever deliver would be an opposing team's kick return for a touchdown in preseason 1 at the LA
That
Coliseum.
was when Dak. That was like the Dak game.
It was the Dak game.
The Dak where Dak, in practice, he looked awful, and then all of a sudden he's just doop down the field.
That's when we knew that Dak was going to have a long horizon in this league.
There we go.
And I think that's when we found out J.B. Long was going to have a long, nice NFL broadcast.
I thought I might be one and done after that one.
JB, thanks for the time, man. It's been a real treat for us. Enjoy the game.
Nice to sit down with you both. Have a good rest of your day.
Yes, sir. There he goes. Rams play-by-play man JB Long here behind enemy lines. Today's game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Dallas Cowboys at AT&T Stadium is brought to you by American Airlines, the official airline of the Dallas Cowboys. Broaddus, we were glossing over the idea of Brandon Cooks, former Ram. He's a former many-team guy who's been all over the place, but it feels like the least productive version of him to this point in his career. I'm hoping that we can get him going because when you look at the numbers on him, and he's consistently, throughout his career, speed, big play, chunk play kind of guy. It seems like every year it's 1,000 yards for him, and right now we're talking about a situation where he's got 13 catches for 109 yards. He's got the 1 touchdown in the 5 games, but 8.5-yard average per reception, not great for a guy who's supposed to be a deep threat. Brandon Cooks has not caught a pass for more than 16 air yards. Can we please, God, get him going?
I think a lot of it is going to have to do, JB was talking about how the Rams play in the secondary, and maybe they've dodged some things along the way. Their tape is good. Their corner tape is good. I think it's going to be against Durant, though. I keep mentioning him. Kobe Durant, the nickel for the Rams, is a guy that tends to give up some plays. He's a slightly built guy. He's not the most physical guy. We'll see if Cooks can get inside him or Lamb, maybe separate. Maybe that's a little bit that two-way go that these receivers have from the slot. They could do something with some of the route running and give Durant some problems. Maybe get Cooks down the field a little bit more as well.
When you see the lack of production here, is that a, hey, Brandon Cooks, it's time for you to look in the mirror at 30 years old? Or is this a, hey, Mike McCarthy, let's scheme this dude open and let's get him the football?
I feel like that just watching the tape myself, I feel like that Brandon Cooks is one of your best route runners. Mm-hmm. You watch him, the explosiveness he still has, his ability to drive, and especially if teams are going to play zone coverage, he can eat up cushion. He's able to plant the foot, come back for the football, work the out, work the in-breaking routes. Bunch formation stuff, scatter, and then allow him to drag things, some of those crossing things, get him the ball on the move, much like what we're going to see from the Rams today. You're going to see a lot of these crossing and mesh. Cowboys need to take a little bit of a play out of those books that they're seeing.
Here we go. We're an hour and 20 minutes to kick off Cowboys-Rams AT&T Stadium. Let's go down to the turf and welcome in Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales and get the scoop next right here on The Fan.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high level, I relied on my vision to see.
gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com, make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com.
Here we go. It's time to get the scoop from Christy Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter. We're an hour and 15 minutes to kick off Cowboys and Rams here at AT&T Stadium. Great to have you in, the official pregame show of America's team. A lot of festivities going on at AT&T Stadium today. The halftime is going to be special, honoring DeMarcus Ware. And for more on that and all the scoop, let's welcome in Christy Scales. Christy, happy game day to you. What do we need to know about this inactive situation?
Yeah, Tyron Smith, an hour and a half before the game, so 10:30 today with a noon central kickoff is when the inactive list has to be turned in for game day inactives. And until, probably about 15 to 20 minutes before that list had to be turned in, the Cowboys were still hopeful that Tyron Smith would be able to play. But with this neck issue flaring up this week, just unable to go today. So Chuma Edoga makes his 5th start of the season. He started a couple of games for Tyron Smith earlier in the month when Tyron was out with a knee injury. And, of course, Chuma started the first 2 games of the year at left guard when Tyler Smith was out with a hamstring injury. So Chuma for Tyron, and it's very disappointing because you'd have, whenever you have Aaron Donald on the other side of the ball and you got Zach Martin and Tyron Smith and just seeing some of the all-time greats at their position play. But very disappointing that Tyron is not able to play. So Edoga moves into the starting lineup, and that means Awesome Richards, the rookie offensive lineman, the swing, he'll be the backup tackle today, and he will be inactive. I'm sorry, he will be active. As for the other inactives today, Deuce Vaughn is inactive. Yeah. That's because the Cowboys are going short at running back. They're going long at tight end. One of the players that they signed to the practice squad this past week, Eric Saubert, who adds some depth at tight end, is also really good at special teams and is a good run blocker. He will be active today. So Eric Saubert, and then a player that they signed a few weeks ago to the practice squad, Rashawn Evans. Rashawn Evans, like Saubert, will be making his Dallas Cowboys debut this season. Evans will be active today, elevated from the practice squad yesterday. As for some of the other usual suspects that we have for inactives, Jalen Brooks, the rookie wide receiver, cornerback Noah Igbenogany, Junior Fehoko, the rookie defensive end, and Eric Scott. So, and Trey Lance is your emergency third quarterback. So that's what it looks like personnel-wise, guys.
Christy, they caught me by surprise. We're wearing blue jerseys today?
Yeah, we're in blue jerseys with the white pants and the blue and silver piping, as Brad Sham and Eric Nadell would describe it.
Absolutely.
But they're wearing the silver helmets today. So, yeah, wore the color rush at the Chargers game, and then blue jerseys today. And then you'll see a couple more times where they're not in their normal white jerseys later this year, including the home game on Thanksgiving when they'll be in their throwbacks.
All right, fantastic. Now, what do we need to know about halftime honoring DeMarcus Ware today?
Yeah, so he's the 23rd member of the Cowboys Ring of Honor, and 10 other members are going to be here as part of the halftime ceremony. So it's going to be great. The 10 that are here are Cliff Harris, Mel Renfro, Bob Lilly, of course, the very first person to be inducted into the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. He's here. Roger Staubach, Leroy Jordan, also Tony Dorsett and Drew Pearson, Darren Woodson, Charles Haley, and Emmett Smith. So what's going to happen is for the halftime ceremony, the game day presentation crew, the flag crew, those guys will be out here, and they'll be holding flags with the name of all 23 Ring of Honor members. So each Ring of Honor member has his own flag. The Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders will be out on the field. 10 of the cheerleaders will be escorting the 10 Ring of Honor members that I mentioned earlier that are going to come out on the field and stand behind Jerry Jones when he presents DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus will be escorted out onto the field by one of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. And following some opening remarks from Jerry, DeMarcus Ware will be speaking, and we'll be carrying it here live on the Dallas Cowboys radio network so that all the Cowboys fans will have a chance to hear from DeMarcus this afternoon.
That's fantastic. Looking forward to that in a huge way. DeMarcus Ware, one of my favorite Cowboys ever. So getting him, obviously the Hall of Famer, now in the Ring of Honor. That is going to be fantastic. All the legends involved as well. So today's going to be special. Today's going to be very, very special, Christy. And this is
really, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It really is, just as someone who grew up a Cowboy fan, and everything's relative, right, to your age and everything and who your heroes were when you grew up. And so to me, this is what makes all the work worth everything, is when you get to hang out on the sideline and talk to these guys. I actually had an event with Emmitt Smith this past Wednesday out here at the stadium, and we were reminiscing back to 2005. Emmitt, of course, was inducted alongside Michael and Troy, right, because it was only fitting that the triplets would go in together, but he was just talking about how special that was. So it really does mean something to these current Ring of Honor members, and that's why it's so important for them to come back. So it is really cool today, and I know that there are some people that are excited that they have tickets to this specific game against the Rams so that they get to see these former Cowboys. A couple of other good notes to mention, since I started off with a bad way that Tyron Smith is inactive today. Jeff Blasco, the Cowboys running backs coach, who's missed the past several weeks because of medical leave of absence, he is back today. So he's been back at practice, and he is at the game. He will be in his normal spot, which is up in the Cowboys coaches booth. Evan Harrington, who was one of the offensive assistants who really stepped up in Jeff's absence, working with the running backs, will continue to be here down on the sideline working with the running backs. So I just wanted to share that good news that Jeff Blasco is back with the team and is going to be able to be part of game day.
Christy, I have to say that the Cowboys jackets that they give to their Ring of Honor members are better than the jackets the Patriots give to their Ring of Honor members. Those red jackets.
The bright reds.
The bright red jacket. I could do without that jacket. But the
so
blue
you're more into the wardrobe, Brian. So let me ask you this: if you were to be a golfer and win the Colonial, would you just chuck it so that you didn't have to wear that jacket, or would you wear it with pride? The plaid.
I'll tell you what,
the loud colors.
Okay, let me refresh me. I think, is the Colonial a plaid one?
It's plaid, yeah.
Okay, well, you can win a plaid one at Harbor Town too. There at the so after the Masters. So the goal for you professional golfers: win the green jacket one weekend, and then the next weekend go to Harbor Town and get that plaid jacket. But yes, the plaid jacket. If they did a gray or a silver and blue plaid jacket for Ring of Honor, I'd be all about that. But to be honest with you, Christy, I need Brad Sham to get me one of those Cotton Bowl committee member jackets they used to wear. The
those
green
are cool.
one.
Yes.
The green ones.
Yes.
That's the one I want.
Actually,
with Haas Brock and me hanging out together. Wearing
but
those
see,
jackets.
it's all about being distinctive, is it not?
Oh yeah.
It's all about being distinctive.
Yeah, that's CBS Blazers.
The colors,
another one.
It has to stand out. Yeah,
you got to stand out. Absolutely.
Christy, you're the best. Thank you so much for the time.
Bet.
We'll catch up with you next hour.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. There she goes, Christy Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter, as we inch closer and closer to a Cowboy kickoff. It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. The Cowboys special from Papa John's, a large one-topping pizza for only $9.99. Order today. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. And if you're making your way over to AT&T Stadium today, Legends Hospitality hooking it up in a big way, as they always do. Once again, bring in the brisket mac and cheese bowl. This thing is off the chain. We just crushed it. Me and Broaddus. It's a new edition based on one of their most popular fan requests, a bowl of the famous Cowboys mac and cheese, best mac and cheese in the business, loaded with house smoked brisket and topped with jalapenos and barbecue sauce. You can get it all over AT&T Stadium today. So if you're making your way over to the game, make sure you get yourself some of that brisket mac and cheese bowl, because it is truly, truly dominant. Let's continue to get you set for a kickoff. Cowboys and Rams. Let's go inside the matchup and inside the numbers coming up next on your home of the Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan.
We've all got a wild side. Feed it with Jack Links. Now feed it with more Jack Links. Now use your wild side to smash through the door. Now ride your wild side down the stairs like a sled. Now run naked into the woods. Now challenge a bear to a fight. Now earn the bear's respect. Now fall in love with the bear and move to the woods and raise a family with the bear and become the Bear King and... Stop. Too wild. Jack Links. Feed your wild side. Always feed your wild side responsibly. Be safe. We're saying this because we love you.
You can trust your car to the place with the star. With tech running your engine, enjoy your hobbies near and far. Fill your car with all your friends and love the time you spend. So trust your car to the Texaco Star.
When you fill up with Texaco with TechRun, you get unbeatable mileage to help fuel what you love to do. Download the Texaco app to find a station near you.
What a festival. I mean, the lineup is incredible.
Right? The fashion, the vibe. Here for it.
Same. Oh, look, the band is setting up. Better head to the front now so we can get a good spot.
Bob, we're birds. We can fly.
Oh, right. Duh.
Wait, what was that?
Oh, man. Looks like the humans have Red Bull.
There goes our bird's eye view.
Red Bull gives you wings.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Hi, I'm Frank Volleman, owner of Volleman's Family Farm. And together with my family, we work hard every day to provide you with refreshing, glass-bottled milk fresh from our farm. Volleman's is proud to be family-owned, Texas-made, and the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Our Texas milk and your Texas team. It's a winning combination. To find a store near you, visit VollemansDairy.com.
Is your workplace on top of its game? For over 100 years, Pollock Aurora has been taking care of business, improving their bottom lines, and helping them grow with proven results that work. And this year is no exception. From keeping the workplace clean to custom packaging to shipping products and office essentials, Pollock leads the way in supplying everything Dallas workplaces need to do what they do. Backed by more than 10 decades of doing things right and moving companies forward, Pollock Aurora is where solved happens. Call 855-239-5153 or visit pollock.com today.
Dallas, the jackpots for Mega Millions, Powerball, and Lotto Texas are big and getting bigger every day. And you can now buy your official Texas lottery tickets right from your phone at jackpot.com, an official partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Just go to jackpot.com, choose your favorite lottery game, pick your lucky numbers, and get your winnings instantly. Plus, right now, get a free lottery ticket with your first play. Don't wait. Go to jackpot.com right now and buy your lottery tickets on your phone. Go to jackpot.com. That's jackpot.com. Paid for by jackpot.com. You must be 18 or older to order a lottery ticket. Please play responsibly. If you or somebody knows a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Bell Nunnally has been committed to serving their clients for more than 4 decades. This Dallas-based full-service law firm offers an extensive array of legal services, including championship-level commercial litigation, mergers and acquisitions, real estate, intellectual property, and white-collar criminal defense practices. Whether it's the clients they serve, the cases they win, the people they hire, or the community they build, Bell Nunnally is behind every great company. Go to bellnunnally.com to learn more.
Hi, Drew Pearson, former Dallas Cowboy and now Pro Football.
Touchdown, Cowboys!
With Brad Sham, Babe Laufenberg, Christy Scales, Eric Chiofalo, and Brian Broaddus. Brought to you by
AT&T, the official partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time. And by blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
Also brought to you by
Bill Nunnally, attorneys and counselors. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Jack Link's, feed your wild side. Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. And by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza.
Now, here's Eric Chiofalo and Brian Broaddus.
60 minutes to kick off right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Welcome into another Cowboy game day, ladies and gentlemen. Cowboys and Rams live at AT&T Stadium. It's the official pregame show of America's team. Broaddus, you, sir, are a Super Bowl champion, a former scout for these Dallas Cowboys. They're coming off a bye. They're 10-0 in their last 10 tries here at AT&T Stadium. They're going to be wearing the blue jerseys today, and the Highland Park alum, Mr. Matthew Stafford, coming into town trying to steal a victory away from these Cowboys. What have you seen from Matthew Stafford as you've been breaking this game down? Is he going to be throwing the ball all over the yard today?
Well, there's a possibility he can. He's got some very talented receivers. He's got an outstanding tight end in Tyler Higbee. We really haven't brought Tyler Higbee up in the way that his ability to play work down the field. Not the best run blocker, but when you talk about him being detached, in the slot, he can make plays down the field. He can play in line, which is next to the tackle. So, yes, if you match him up with a linebacker or a safety that's not comfortable in coverage, there could be a problem there at the tight end spot. But these receivers, I feel like they're some of the best that the Cowboys have played this year. And when you look at with Cooper Kupp, he's coming back from his hamstring injury, though. Puka Nacua was filling in for him the previous 4 weeks while he was on the injured reserve. Well, they've got really two big-time weapons when it comes to those as well. And then Tutu Atwell is a guy he's the guy that they'll always bring in motion. So you'll see a lot of motion from him. There'll be twins, two receivers on one side. He'll come across to make it trips, which will put three receivers there. Then they'll scatter. They like to run a lot of crossing routes. Outwell is really good at getting down the field, and I don't mean down the field as far as 9 routes, bombs, those kinds of, but the intermediate route to where he's working that middle, that 15 to, say, 18 yards. He'll make his share of plays. Babe Laufenberg talked about the deep end that he ran, that he was able to come up with. So it's a unique group when it comes to how you're going to play coverage. There's going to be a lot of mesh routes, those routes that break inside, where you have we have receivers coming from one side to the other, and then you try and pick guys off. If the Cowboys play a ton of man coverage in this game, I expect that there will be some opportunities for the Rams that way. These corners have got to be able to run inside, play the breaking routes, and be able to defend the ball, because these Ram receivers will catch it on the go, and then they will take it up the field north-south quickly.
Let's continue the preview here, brought to you by Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Is this going to be a good opportunity for the Cowboy pass rush to get going?
It will be, and with the right tackle Rob Haverstein being out, yes, and we'll see. No Boom will be the backup tackle that will play it right. The thing that I've noticed about with Matthew Stafford, though, and we had, with J.B. Long was on earlier, the play-by-play voice of the Rams, where Stafford, the ability to step up. If you allow Matthew Stafford to avoid rush by stepping up, he's going to find a way to throw the ball around defensive linemen. He'll throw it sidearm. He'll throw it, he kind of shovel it. He's not a guy is willing to take a sack. You got to get to him quick. He's not going to run. But, yeah, the middle of that pocket, how you're able to push, I think the Cowboys will be able to get some pressure off the edge, but got to make sure that you move up you get penetration in the middle so Stafford can't climb the pocket and then hit one of those crossing routes on the go. So
the Rams are going to be without one of their starting tackles, and the Cowboys without Tyron Smith today.
Yeah, it's a shame, and these are there's times when, with Tyron Smith, and we hate to do it, you don't ever want to talk about players and injury, but when we get to the season and we saw, well, Tyron Smith is going to miss that 2 to 4 games, and here we are at a Thursday practice. Tyron Smith wakes up, he goes to the practice field, goes to the facility, and then he's got the neck stinger. The neck stinger takes power out of his upper body, up in the shoulder area. He's not able to play. So here we are, Chuma Edoga. Once again, now we've seen Chuma Edoga play. We were all screaming early in the season. I was getting texts actually this morning from friends of mine about, why would you not play Tyler Smith? But what happened so late in the week on a Thursday, here you go. Tyler Smith is going to be your left guard, and Chuma Edoga will be the left tackle. But we've seen Chuma Edoga play before, and he has not been poor. I felt like early there could have been some liability questions. We saw it at camp. He got injured. He wasn't as good. But in these games, he's shown up, and you have to give him credit for that.
Let's go inside the numbers, brought to you by Papa John's, the official pizza of the Dallas Cowboys. Better ingredients, better pizza. It is Papa John's. How about this for the Rams defense, ranking number 1 against passes to the right side of the field? And they have Akello Witherspoon, their corner, who's been a stud this year for them. Last week, Steelers receivers Deontay Johnson and George Pickens combined for 186 yards against the Rams, but only 25 of those came on the right side. So that's an interesting nugget there when you look at the Rams pass defense.
Yeah, they're not going to. It's a predominantly zone coverage defense, and they are going to try and funnel things to the middle of the field if they can, to their safeties, and make plays from there. But it is a group that is, the Cowboys have thrived. Dak Prescott has thrived against zone coverage in the past. Jets were very zone heavy. The New England Patriots very zone heavy. Dak Prescott has had good days against teams that will play too deep and play a single high against him.
53 minutes to kick off Cowboys and Rams here at AT&T Stadium. Let's get you the coach's corner. Brad Sham, voice of the Cowboys, standing by with your head coach, Mike McCarthy. Coming up next, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason to celebrate. If anyone knows that.
Proud to be the official energy provider of your Dallas Cowboys.
Reliant, PUCT number 10007.
Just over 45 minutes to kick off here at AT&T Stadium. It's another Cowboy game day. The Cowboys 10-0 in their last 10 tries here at AT&T Stadium. The Highland Park alum Matthew Stafford and the Rams coming into town, needing a victory desperately after they dropped one to the Steelers last week. What's Coach McCarthy think about that? He's standing by right now for today's Coach's Corner with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. Brad, take it away, sir.
Fellas, thanks very much. It's Mike McCarthy's favorite thing, a noon home game. It's your only one of the year, so use it wisely. Are you prepared to use it wisely?
Oh, definitely. We're prepared, and definitely there's nothing like getting up in the morning and just getting after it. So, locker room's been jumping like you like to see it. So we're excited about the opportunity against the Rams.
All right, let me not bury the lead any further. Tyron Smith will not play. What can you tell us about the nature of his injury? And I presume Aduga is going to go at left tackle.
I mean, this is something that obviously it's something that he has from the past. So as far as projection for the future, we really didn't even really visit that. He did a pre-pregame workout, and the medical staff feels that he should not play. So Chuma's got the start.
And did he get the bulk of the work on Saturday, Aduga?
Oh yes, absolutely. Took it all.
So he's ready to jump back on the horse.
Absolutely. No, we're ready to go.
All right. So you talk a lot about self-scout. A lot of coaching staffs like to use the bye week for self-scout. I think you do it kind of on a regular basis. What did you use from a coaching standpoint, use the bye week for that you think will help you on into the next third of the season?
Well, I think just like anything, you're breaking it into three realms. So, I mean, the physical part of it, I think clearly the team benefited from it. And, we've had a full week of preparation. And then, really that's part of the message yesterday. Let's apply a good week of preparation because, we've talked about time and time in the past, just because you have a great week doesn't, mean you're going to have a great Sunday. So, and vice versa. So just the reality of pushing it forward, growing as a football team. But the most important growth is success on Sundays. I think that's part of it. The mental part of it is checking balances, looking at the numbers, things we need to work on. Obviously, projecting the next 6 weeks, how we want to grow and look as a football team schematically as far as our attack to the opponent, and then emotionally, you're trying to grow each and every day as a team.
And understanding what you're talking about, projecting, getting better. What you are today is not what you hope to be coming out of Thanksgiving. But from the standpoint of where you are right now, how are you feeling about the offense coming out of the bye?
Definitely. I mean, I feel good that we're the direction we need to go, and some of the things we want to highlight. There's some things in the first trimester that we frankly just didn't get to. So hopefully we can get to some of those concepts. And at the end of the day, it's we got to get our players in space.
You've elevated Rashaan Evans at linebacker today. He's got a little bit of a track record in the league. What do you see from him? What do you hope to get from him?
I like the way he practices. I think he brings some toughness. Has played a lot of football. So, the biggest thing is getting him acclimated to our scheme, particularly the language and the communication. So I think he's done a really nice job. And just actually visited with Dan earlier this morning, just talking about the personnel groups, and Dan's excited about him.
Does he bring a physicality that you need, or is it size mostly?
Well, he definitely brings a physicality to an extremely physical defense. So, he definitely fits in with our play style. There's no question about that as part, obviously part of the interest that we had in acquiring him. So, but, he's ready to go. It's a challenge when you have new players come in and you play them in a week. I've always been hesitant. Obviously we're doing that. But, hey. He's ready to go. Okay,
this is going to sound to some people like a question about Matthew Stafford. It isn't, except as it pertains to veteran quarterbacks. Because on tape, he looks to me like he's still pretty good. He's still got a fastball. But when you evaluate quarterbacks as they go on in their career, sometimes if a receiver or a running back is losing a step, you can see that. You can see other players' age. How do you tell when a quarterback is getting to that point in his career?
Their legs. Because guys like Matthew Stafford, Matthew, he'll throw the ball 65 yards when he's 65 years old. I mean, those are part of the gifts that he has. But in his awareness, instincts, understanding, and knowledge of the game is only going to continue to increase. My experience is when the legs and the feet, start to go, can't slide as much in the pocket, the hits and the things that go with it, the ability to come out of the pocket. So, I mean, he's extremely gifted, but, his ability to throw the football and just pure, dissect and understand the defense, it's only going to get better.
Unfortunately for the people he plays. And last one of the guys he's thrown to now is Paka Nakua, who literally came out of nowhere as far as the rest of the league is concerned. I'm intrigued by the way they find receivers. It reminds me of how Denver used to find running backs, low in the draft, free agents, and they become stars. How does that happen?
Well, I think it's like anything. That's why you have, profiles. With the coaching staff and the personnel department sit down. I mean, you can definitely see the blend of how he fits right in, and I think that says a lot because when you have something special like a Cooper Kupp and and you see someone that clearly reminds you of him. I think it's common sense. So you can definitely see the fit in the profile at the receiver position.
Does he remind you of Kupp when you see him?
Oh, absolutely. No, and I think just the fact that he's a rookie playing, with Cooper, you can see the benefits of having a stud, experienced receiver.
Enjoy your noon game. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Brad.
All right, fellas, back to you.
Thank you, Brad Sham. Thank you, Mike McCarthy. That is today's Coach's Corner as we continue to get you set for Cowboys-Rams here at AT&T Stadium. Broaddus, the number one thing you're looking for today, is it the Cowboys' rushing attack to get going a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit, the continuity that I want to see with the offensive line. It will be a little bit of a problem with Chuma Edoga as that left tackle spot because, to me, the one thing that Tyron Smith has always been able to do is when the play goes away, if you're a right-handed running team like the Cowboys are, then that backside tackle is the one that has to cut things off. And then if you do get some push and then there's that cutback lane on the left side of Tyler Broaddus, it's usually because you've got Tyler Smith up and then you've got the backside cutoff. So can Chuma Edoga be able to make those backside cutoff plays that Tyron Smith has done throughout his career? If you see the backside, Tony Pollard gets the ball and it's a 3-yard gain and it keeps being the backside edge, they're having a problem running the ball because of that. So I just want to see tight end point of attack play, more push at the point of attack, and I want to see a little bit better opportunity for Tony Pollard to get through to and through the hole. Maybe instead of having 2 3-yard gains, maybe those turn into 5 and 7-yard gains.
Yeah, maybe off a bye, you get the fresh legs there from Tony Pollard. That would be a welcome sight here at AT&T Stadium as we inch closer and closer to a Cowboy kickoff. Let's go into the owner's box with DeMarcus Ware, the Hall of Famer, and he's about to be honored at halftime today here at AT&T. He's in the owner's box with Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales. That's coming up next. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Buffalo Wild Wings will be hosting a weekly Football Feast live radio show.
Pregame Show, brought to you by
Volleman's Dairy, the official milk of the Dallas Cowboys. Texaco. Texaco with Techron delivers unbeatable gas mileage. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. Arrow Exterminators, official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com.
Here's Eric Chiofalo and Brian Broaddus.
Welcome into the official pregame party of America's team. 35 minutes to kick here at AT&T Stadium. Cowboys and Rams. Let's go into the owner's box with Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales standing by with the man who will be honored at halftime today, DeMarcus Ware. Christy, take it away.
On this very special day, stepping into the owner's box, DeMarcus Ware, and we're just about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from your induction ceremony. Now that it's here, what's it feel like?
You know what, it's like the first game of the season. You know, as I just walked through the tunnel and, saw all the fans, saw Micah, saw a couple, DeMarcus Lawrence, saw a couple of those guys. It feels like I'm suiting up, but I'm not putting on the pads. I'm putting on the Ring of Honor jacket. And so it's like I'm just getting the team ready, and I'm the captain today, and it feels awesome.
We'll be carrying your remarks at halftime on the Cowboys Radio Network, but have you been working long on the speech, and what is the main theme that you want to share not only with the Jones family and the Cowboys organization, but with Cowboys fans across the country?
I think it's just when you think about what it meant to me to etch my name in stone of the Dallas Cowboys, what it meant to me as I walked into the stadium and saw the Ring of Honor and what it meant, and now being part of that. The heartbeat of the fans is what sort of drove me for 9 years, but the guys that were up there in the ring gave me that path on what and how I wanted to be and how I wanted to play, and now I'm one of those guys.
And 10 of those members are here today, including the likes of Bob Lilly, the very first Cowboy to go into the Ring of Honor, all the way to Emmitt Smith, Darren Woodson, just all the eras of Cowboys football. What does it mean to you that they are here to honor you as well?
That lets you know that when you are part of a fraternity, you show up because it means something to them. And to, be one of the youngest guys in the Ring of Honor and have all of the former guys come back, that's when you are part of that new locker room. It's a whole new fraternity that the Dallas Cowboys have created, and it feels really good to have those conversations, just like when I made the Hall of Fame with those guys. This is my home Hall of Fame, and it just feels amazing to, like I said, being in a whole new locker room now.
Thank you for taking time on your special day to talk with us. We appreciate it, DeMarcus. Yes. Be well. That's a view from the owner's box with the newest Ring of Honor member, DeMarcus Ware. And as we continue counting down to kickoff between the Rams and the Cowboys, let's turn things back over to Eric and Brian.
Thank you, Christy. Today's owner's box is brought to you by Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. It is Papa John's. And now, Broaddus, as we continue to get to know the enemy, brought to you by Arrow Exterminators, the official pest control provider of the Dallas Cowboys. How about this with the Rams offense? Their plays have gained 20 or more yards at the third highest rate in the league. So Matthew Stafford certainly going to be trying to keep the explosive plays going versus this Cowboys defense today. That's going to be a huge key.
It is going to be a huge key. And can the Cowboys have had some times where they've struggled with some of these routes. And, today is going to be a really important day with how you tackle. These Ram receivers, the run after catch, there's going to be a lot of crossing, shallow type routes. You have to be able to, if you're in chase mode, if the ball's a 7-yard play, it's a 7-yard play. Don't let a 7-yard play turn into a 57-yard play. Mm-hmm. How well the Cowboys tackle, how well they defend the pass. Pressure, I think, is going to be something that they're going to be able to get. But I mentioned it before. Don't let Matthew Stafford slide forward in that pocket and be able to have a path to be able to throw the ball to one of those crossers.
All right, now what do we need to know about this referee crew today?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I love me, and I love to talk about these officials. Adrian Hill.
You love your zebras.
I do love my zebras. Even Major League Baseball last night, I was doing at the World Series. I was talking about umpires, and
they had their own struggles. We got the scouting report.
They had their own struggles last night. But Adrian Hill is your official today, and Adrian Hill's crew had Week 1's game against the Cowboys and the Giants. So he has, in 6 games, this will be his 7th game he has officiated this season, 2 already with the Cowboys. The Giants were his first game. The penalties you need to know about here with Adrian Hill is offensive holding, defensive pass interference, defensive holding, and then unnecessary roughness. Those are the ones that are the penalties that he tends to, or his crew tends to call. It's a pretty low officiated, when I mean low with the penalties being called, because you have offensive holding. He's refereed. This will be his 7th game. He's only had 8 offensive holding calls. So small numbers, small sample size right now, but a little bit of a trend. Offensive holding, defensive pass interference, defensive holding, and unnecessary roughness. Keep an eye on those today.
Well, hopefully it's not a ref show here at AT&T
No, we don't
Stadium
need the
today.
ref show. No.
I'll tell you what, with the Cowboys wearing these blue tops today, which is not something they do often,
Right.
especially at home, I'm looking down at the field. I'm liking this color clash. The blue tops and the white pants for the Cowboys, and then you get the white tops and the bright yellow pants for the Rams. A bit gaudy, but I think this is actually a pretty nice color clash.
Yeah, it is. It's I grew up in a time where the Rams and the Cowboys, it was always, the Rams always had those iconic with the blue jerseys and the yellow pants.
The blue and the yellow.
Yeah, and then, with the logos and stuff. Throughout the years, I mean, the greatest show on turf, they went more to gold and a blue, and it was kind of crazy. So I grew up more with what the style of Rams are with the yellow and the blue. It might be a little bit of a closer, kind of a lighter blue than I'm normally used to with the Rams, but it's still a good clash. You're right about that.
I'll tell you what, I like seeing Micah Parsons in pregame. Before he started suiting up, he had the DeMarcus Ware T-shirt on as he was out there with the headphones and doing his pregame ritual there.
Maybe he'll channel that inner DeMarcus Ware in this football game. They're going to need him to have a good one. And the Rams are a little bit compromised at both tackle spots.
Let's get you to kick off as quickly as possible with the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham. Coming up next, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Apply now to the University of North Texas Dallas Cowboys online MBA in sport.
Cowboys off a bye week. Brad, I can tell you got the fresh legs going, feeling good, ready to attack the second half of the season.
You're out of your mind.
You done some scouting on these Rams. I'm pretty impressed. Old Matthew Stafford's showing he's still got some more left in the tank here.
Oh, he's got a lot. I don't know if you heard in my conversation with McCarthy, I asked, it's a favorite question of mine. How do you tell when a quarterback is starting to lose it? You can tell with a running back and a wide receiver, defensive back, it's not quite the same. I don't know how you tell with a quarterback, and he's had his legs. Right. And so I don't know. You're the scout, Brian. I mean, I don't know what you see when you see his legs. I know his arm is fine.
Well, his arm is fine, and I appreciate the fact that Brad showed up today with a stopwatch. So I thought he was going to be timing some players today.
It's not
so
out of the
always
question.
a scout. He's really a scout first and a broadcaster second.
To be honest with you, at heart.
It's at heart. But I'll tell you what, he's right about that, and I'm glad you asked that question because people are going to wonder, well, why is Matthew Stafford? The thing that robs Matthew Stafford of opportunity is a concussion or spinal contusions like that. He is one of the toughest guys at quarterback that the Dallas Cowboys will face ever. Mm-hmm. When you watch him play, his ability to climb the pocket, to move, to take hits, to consistently get up after every play and still make throws, that's what I'm worried about today. I think the Cowboys can get some pressure, Brad, but how many times can Matthew Stafford get up and make plays down the field?
Well, I like the Cowboys' defensive front better than I like the Rams' offensive line, especially without their right tackle. But how many times is he going to take even a three-step drop, let alone five? Right. He's going to go a step and a half, slide in the pocket, look, and get rid of it. Right. And so you better be able to cover as well. And, that brings into question how much zone do you play? 'Cause you talked about it in the first hour of the pregame show, but, I mean, they'll do their natural picks and their running drags, and then they're going to get, 17 or 10 open in the wash, and then they're going to go run for a long way. That, I think, is what you worry about.
Brad, we get to honor DeMarcus Ware here at halftime today. What comes to your mind when you think about D. Ware?
Honestly, it was the game that he got taken off the field here against San Diego and then came back the next week and played against New Orleans in New Orleans and was like the star of the game. I think he only played a half. I mean, he's a great pass rusher, but he was more than that. He was just a great football player, but he's so bright and so engaging. I've got a picture in my phone, Brian, of the three of us doing a preseason game. A couple of years ago.
Right.
He's got so much going for him as a human being, I think when someone's a really good human being and gifted with great natural ability, you're suddenly going to find out that they have a pretty good career, right? Because they know how to use their talents.
Cowboys 10-0 in the last 10 here at AT&T Stadium. What has now become what was kind of not a home field advantage, now a home field advantage?
That's a very good question, but they need to keep it going. Crowd today, we'll see how they are. It's noon,
Right.
It's not a noon crowd town.
No.
And so we'll see how much they've got in the tank, but they do seem to enjoy playing here, and whatever boost they get from the fans, probably not insignificant, and I think that's important, especially when you go to some of the places they go.
I hope you brought your sunglasses with you. Did you see those bright yellow pants that the Rams are donning? Back-to-back bright yellow pants, Brad. I feel bad you have to endure that.
Yeah, it's like, 45 years of people not asking me my opinion. I'm kind of accustomed to it now.
You're the man, Brad Sham. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the game. There he goes, voice of the Cowboys, Brad Sham, here as we are broadcasting live inside the Brad Sham radio booth, and we throw it down to the turf here at AT&T Stadium and welcome in Christy Scales, Cowboys sideline reporter for her keys to the game, brought to you by Pollock Aurora, proud supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Christy, big time game here today. What are you looking for from the boys?
Yeah, talking with some of the defensive staff here for the Cowboys, just fast start in terms of getting pressure on Stafford, as you were talking about with Brad just a moment ago. But what they do so well with the Rams is getting the right matchups. And now it's not just getting the ball to Cooper Kupp, but you got a rookie like Puka Nacua leading the league in reception. So that is the key today. And guys, I just got to mention the star power going down here. It's on the sidelines. It's not just the yellow pants of the Rams that are burning holes in my retina. It's just the star. So Emmitt Smith, who's here for the halftime ceremony, has just walked over in the bench area to say hi with Alex Rodriguez, the former Mariner, Ranger, Yankee. He's here, obviously, Fox with the World Series. But, man, the crowd is not filled in yet today, as Brad says. It is a noon crowd, but I know it will be loud. And I think some people may have just be making their way from across at Globe Life Field, finally staggering over from the Rangers game last night here to AT&T Stadium. But a lot happening here on the sideline, so it's real exciting. But again, from a defensive standpoint, fast start, pressure on Matt Stafford, and of course offense that without Tyron Smith at left tackle, they thought until about 10:15 this morning that he would be able to play with that neck stinger inactive today. Going to be cautious with Tyron moving forward. And so Chuma Edoga making his 5th start of the year, too early in the season for Tyler Smith at left guard, and now making his 3rd start of the season for Tyron Smith at left tackle. Of course, the Rams will be without Rob Havenstein, their right tackle. So each team missing a key starter along the offensive line today, guys.
Christy, when you mentioned all the things, the offensive line moving, do you have the confidence in Edoga from what you've seen earlier? I think we have to have some good thoughts. This isn't like he's just coming off the bench and making a first start here.
No, and he's actually played really well in his previous start. So, he was one of those quiet free agent additions in the offseason, didn't make any headlines, and nobody really thought about it. But instead of having to turn to someone, a rookie or an unproven player, he has more than filled the bill for the Cowboys this season, and it's great to be able to have a guy to rely on. All of his starts have come on the left side, so that's good, and he has worked with Tyler Smith before, so at least they've had some combo blocks before and that kind of thing, and Dak trusts him there to protect his blind side. Doesn't have a choice, but at least he does. So we'll see how Edoga can hold up today. It's tough going against a Rams defensive line that features one of the all-time great players in defense in NFL history, in Aaron Donald. But hey, I can't wait. Let's get this sucker kicked off.
Let's do this thing, Christy. Always appreciate the time. Have some fun today, all right?
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Brian.
Yes, ma'am. There she goes, Cowboys sideline reporter Christy Scales, and it is prediction time, Broaddus. I got Cowboys winning this bad boy 24-20 off the bye. Maybe a couple of wrinkles here, certainly some fresh legs, and I do feel like the schedule makers did you a favor.
Yeah.
With the Rams coming from the West, playing the noon game here, AT&T Stadium. Let's make it 11 straight victories. What you got?
Yeah, I got the Cowboys winning this one 28-20. It might be even closer to like what you're talking about. But I just feel like at home, the Cowboys have done a nice job with offense and generating offense. Can they do enough, though, to not allow the explosive plays from the Rams be a big part of this game? Dallas 28, Rams 20. Get your 11th straight victory.
There we go. That'll do it for the official pregame party of America's team here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Kickoff is around the corner with Brad and Babe. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
It's big, it's good, and it's only for Cowboys fans. It's the Cowboys.